Hey everyone, welcome to the Inain's Forensic Classroom. I'm Ainan and I'm here to take you on an exciting journey into the world of forensic science, the real science behind solving crimes, uncovering evidences, and delivering justice. So in the last video, we discussed about the history of forensic science in brief, and in this video, we'll be talking about the same history of forensic science but more in detail. So moving on, when we look at the history of forensic science, it dates back to 2300 years ago in India. One of the earliest references to the forensic thinking was found in Kautilya's Arthashastra, which was written about 2300 years ago. And Kautilya, what he did was he studied papillary ridge patterns, what we now call as fingerprints, and he recognized the individuality and the persistence of these fingerprints. So this knowledge was used to authenticate signatures, particularly in case of individuals who were illiterate. Now moving on to ancient China and Middle East. What they did was they used some methods based on the thought that if a person is lying, he would produce more saliva. So how would they know that a person is lying? If he produces more saliva. Now, during that time, some historical evidences from southern India also came into picture. So Mr. K.M. Katta was a South Indian who was a regular contributor to the journal Nature, and he stated that the Chinese records which revealed fingerprint use in the southern kingdoms of India as well. So the handprints that he studied were called as Tarija at that time, and it was also considered very unique and impossible to replicate. Same what happens with the fingerprints. And it was told like long before modern fingerprint science confirmed that scientifically, like handprints are also very unique and impossible to replicate. Then in then in 1248 AD, in China, the first forensic textbook was written. First forensic textbook was written, which is called as The Washing Away of Wrongs. It is basically the earliest documented use of medicine and entomology in solving crimes, and it is found in this washing away of wrongs. The Chinese name for this is Si Yuan Lu, and it was written by Shuangzi. Shuangzi was a person during the Song dynasty in China. He was a pioneering forensic medical examiner who actually standardized autopsy procedures in court. He stressed the importance of public and impartial examinations. He also outlined the techniques in order to make antiseptics, how to reveal hidden injuries, how to clean bodies properly for the cause of death analysis. He also helped forensics in distinguishing between suicide and homicide, drowning and strangulation, and accidental and intentional death. Now, moving on to the foundations of forensic pathology and medicine, when we talk about it, so in the 16th century, we have Ambrose Paré. Ambrose Paré. So what he did was he was basically a French army surgeon, and he studied the effect of violent deaths on internal organs, basically the trauma analysis in autopsies. Then in the same 16th century, we have two more scientists, Fortunato Fidelis and Paolo Zacchia. Same 16th century, Fortunato Fidelis and Paolo Zacchia. So they were again two Italian surgeons who were credited with founding modern pathology. They explored how disease changes body structures, which was very critical for distinguishing between natural and unnatural death. Moving on to the year 1686, we have a scientist, Marcello Malpighi. He was an anatomy professor at the University of Bologna, and he was the first to study the fingerprints under microscope. Fingerprints under microscope, and he identified their potential in the human identification. Then moving on to the year 1773, we have a scientist, Carl Wilhelm Scheele. He devised the ways of detecting poisons in the corpse. Moving on to the year 1776, we have another scientist called as Paul Revere. Paul Revere. So he was involved in a case that linked forensic odontology and the American Revolution. So what Revere did was he identified the body of a General Joseph Warren by the false teeth that he had crafted on him. The name of the general was General Joseph Warren. Then coming to the year 1806, we have Valentine Ross. What he did was he detected the poisons in the walls of the stomach. Moving to the year 1836, we have James Marsh. James Marsh used chemical processes in order to confirm the arsenic poisoning. Then in 1840, one scientist called as Matthew Orfella. So when you talk about forensic toxicology, this is the name that you will hear most of the times. He has a landmark contribution in the field of forensic toxicology. So what Matthew Orfella did was he was involved in a case where a man named Mr. Lafarge Mr. Lafarge basically died under mysterious circumstances, and his wife was suspected of poisoning him. So this French scientist, Matthew Orfella, he examined Lafarge's remains, and he also discovered that he had been poisoned with arsenic. Upon examination, Orfella proved that arsenic could not have come from all the natural resources, so it was a deliberate poisoning, and this led to the Lafarge's wife's conviction. Now moving on to 1892, we have another scientist, Juan Vucetich. Juan Vucetich. He solved a murder case using the bloody fingerprint evidence for the first time. Bloody fingerprint evidence, and he solved the case based on that. So this was all about the detailed description of the history of forensic science. In the next video, we'll talk about some important scientific milestones in forensics and how some important scientists whose contribution has made a significant change in the field of forensic science. So if you found this video interesting, please give it a like, share it with your fellow forensic enthusiasts, and don't forget to subscribe to Inain's Forensic Classroom. If you have any questions, suggestions, or any curious topics that you want me to cover, please drop them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, keep observing, keep questioning, and remember, every clue tells a story. See you soon. Bye-bye.